David Nathaniel.
Yes,
Wow,
sir.
a very important name in my book. I can tell you that.
Thank you.
So, David, listen. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for accepting to be part of this up close and personal column that I put out every week, twice a week. And the main idea is to really introduce uh, our congregants and people like you to our community, um, because we have this common knowledge that like if you belong to a community, you think everybody knows you and you know everybody, but unfortunately not everybody crisscrosses each other at times, because they come at different times, and they might not take the opportunity to come up and forward and say hello to you, and vice versa. Having said that, this is for you to to introduce you to the community and for the community to know you. So when they see you, they say, "Oh, that's David Nathaniel. I remember he has his kids and he has this work and all that kind of stuff." So first of all, thank you, and
My pleasure. It's an
and
honor. Thank you.
Baruch Hashem. And now that we are together, um, I always start up with this question because I feel that it encompasses a lot. Who is David Nathaniel? So background a little bit, I mean, where you come from, your work and all that kind of stuff, a little bit of your family life. If that's too big of a question, let me know. Too
I
broad.
think I can handle that one.
All right.
So I'm born here in Montreal. My parents came from Iraq or via Iran, but they're Iraqi Jews. And we're three in our family. My mom, my father passed away many years ago. My mom is doing well, thank God. And I have, we're three siblings. Myself, my eldest brother, Charles, Nathaniel, my late sister, Katie, and myself. So we grew up as, we're a close-knit family. My brother and I, take care of our mom, although she's in good shape. She's not like she needs to be taken care of, but we like spending time with her and being with her, and so do our families. So, so I was basically married. I've been married now for almost just over 20 years, 22 years, coming on 22 years. Yeah. And
be careful, 25 is a big one, eh? Be careful. You gotta
yeah. Mark the date, everybody.
We're all celebrating.
So my wife Carole, she's also, her dad's Iraqi, her mom's Lebanese.
Wow.
So
yeah.
And she's from Switzerland, from Geneva. So we met really by chance encounter in New York City, thanks to the ice storm that we had in Montreal.
Oh my God. And out of all the places in the world, New York City, the hugest,
yeah,
you're there. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I couldn't get back to Montreal, so somehow ended up in New York because of the ice storm.
Yeah, I remember
that's how we met. So, and we are very fortunate to have four amazing kids. I have 17-year-old, 3 boys and a girl. So I have Jeremy, Liam, Jamie, all boys, 17, 14, 13, and my daughter Leora, who's 11. So
you're the young family, really, very young family.
Yeah, pretty good.
Well, yeah, Baruch Hashem, 17 is the oldest. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So very, very blessed and very proud to be, a family all together.
100%.
And so business-wise, I'm basically an entrepreneur. My dad had a small business that I joined in the early 80s, and been fortunate to be able to build a pretty significant business in the lighting field over these many years.
Do you supply? Are you a supplier or more of a
We manufacture.
manufacturer?
We're a manufacturer of. We have an assembly operation here in two locations well, we have a group of businesses, but all our production is in Canada, Toronto,
Good
a
stuff.
couple in Montreal, another one in Anjou, and we also are importing some products, finished products,
Beautiful.
and put all that together, and we supply electrical wholesalers, and who then supply
To the
electricians,
retailers.
end users, schools,
Wow,
hospitals,
wow, wow.
factories,
So
things
Baruch
like.
Hashem.
Thank
How has COVID-19 affected your business at this
you.
point?
Yeah, it's had a huge impact. Basically, when they shut down construction
Oh yes.
in Ontario and Quebec, our business really slowed down very, very significantly. So it's had a big impact. I mean, fortunately, we were prepared in the sense of being able to do our business from a remote standpoint, at least in terms of servicing our customers,
Okay, so
running the business.
you kept in touch with them, and you were able to navigate through this whole COVID thing.
Yeah, meaning our employees can work from home. When the
Oh,
phone rings, the customer has no clue whether they're in the office
that's
or in
right.
their own home.
Yeah,
With our system, they enter the orders, which then comes out electronically in the factories or distribution
correct.
centers. And of course, we had staff for production, and we had staff for warehousing staff
Mhm.
that we had to continue with, but we
Absolutely.
had to cut a lot of. You weren't at one point. You weren't allowed more than a certain number of people in the building.
Correct.
So it was anyway. It was
Challenging, challenging
certainly
to say the least, eh?
challenging, and then you didn't. There's a lot of uncertainty. Our customers going to pay? Are they going to pay on time? What's business going to be like? So on and so forth. So but we in hindsight, looking back, we managed things well. We were very prudent,
Baruch Hashem.
and we're working hard to turn lemons into lemonade.
A good way. So now that brings me to the question of you are very involved in many, many different facets and in many different ways at the Spanish and Portuguese Synagogue. I mean, those who work very closely with you and those on the executive and on the board and others know very much that you are very involved in so many different aspects. You were saying that people didn't have to go to be at the physical place, but they were somewhere they could be reached and they could be connected with the company. Same thing happens with the synagogue, as you noticed. You are very much part of the implementation of like getting the Zoom going. Let's get the IT guys moving so that we can start connecting with our congregants, even though we're not physically in the same building at the synagogue. We have done this, and how do you? Right now, we're in a transition because right now Zoom is coming. We're still keeping it alive, but now we're going back to the synagogue in the sukkah to meet outside, 10 people, very separated. We're trying to keep the social distancing going. How do you feel it's going, and did it actually achieve the goal you set out to do? To be, because have we connected with people? Have you seen some advances in that? Because we show it on emails all the time, and we show the Zoom services every day. Do you feel the synagogue has accomplished its task in connecting with its members?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think that the synagogue and the clergy, the sisterhood, women's learning group. There's
Yes,
a lot of different activities. So we've definitely taken advantage of the technology.
Correct.
There's been a lot of engagement, a lot of outreach. So I think it's been very, very good. I mean, in some ways, you're reaching people that you wouldn't normally reach.
That's exactly where I was going to get at.
There's some people that are not coming to synagogue or not coming to synagogue very often, and so your exposure to them is more limited. Here, there's been a lot of events, speakers, this, that, where there's been over 100 people attending a Zoom event. So there's you have cooking with Muriel, and the rabbi does a learning each Thursday. So I mean, it's the opportunities there. I mean, are enough people taking advantage of it? Probably not. There could be more, but definitely the engagement has been there, and I think it's a continual sort of effort to engage and reach out. And if one medium is not effective in reaching people, then
we try something different.
There's an email, there's a text,
correct,
and soon there'll be the ability to see people, in person.
Correct, and that's exactly where we're at now. And because of that, and I think because of this whole COVID thing, and because of the, the hiatus we went through, there's been a big financial impact on the synagogue. And I know if you want to, is this maybe a forum to maybe explain to our viewers a little bit of the major donor,
Sure.
campaign that we're going through?
Sure. So I'm on the executive of the synagogue, and earlier on, one of my tasks was to build a strategic plan. And so I helped facilitate that, and we now have a very good strategic plan, albeit COVID has impacted it in some ways in terms of its execution, but COVID has also enhanced it in other ways. So one of the things, and one of the areas we realize, is that we have to be financially secure as an institution, and the reality is that our job as a synagogue is to engage with our congregants and with the community and bring value. So it's not free to do that. You need to have people, you need to have events, you need to have facilities, you need to have refreshments, and all sorts of things. And as a result, and I think which is common for any type of synagogue, or church or any institution like this, is you have a gap typically between your costs to do this type of engagement, to bring this type of value, versus the revenue that you generate. And so fundraising becomes an essential part of managing the life of a synagogue.
Like a lifeline.
Or of a similar institution. So in our strategic plan, we had down that fundraising was going to be important, and we had to understand it better. So as a result, we engaged with a consulting group that focuses on fundraising, and they helped develop a strategy for us. And the strategy is pretty simple. There's the Major Donors Program, which is a 3-year, which is where we are asking donors to provide a donation to be paid over 3 years. And that generates, probably the majority of our needs. Then we have an annual giving campaign, which we're about to embark on shortly.
Correct.
This year, in future years, it'll probably be via a raffle. This year it won't be, just because of COVID and the difficulties of getting that organized. And then finally, the last part of that strategy is a legacy giving, where our congregants, if they so desire, can give to the synagogue, after.
That's right. Bequests. Absolutely. And I think it's a very important part. Yeah. So are you satisfied? I know that there is a growing trend right now. It's almost a race, really. It's almost a race to see what innovative programming and innovative stuff that we can do to keep our people. I think the most important right now is we want to gain new members, we want to bring in new members, young families, get them interested again in synagogue life. But we have to also remember a very important part is to retain what we have, and not only to retain, but to make them so happy that they will in turn bring others in. So that's a very challenging. Yourself and the board and the executive and the clergy, or myself and the rabbi and the people who work in the staff in the office, have a big task in front of them. And I think it's a beautiful challenge, because to tell you the truth, I think that the fruit of your labor is when you see things happening and moving along. And we have people who are kind-hearted and very generous, have been giving to this campaign. What message can we give those who are on the sidelines? I mean, there's always people on the sidelines and on the fence. What can we tell them about our synagogue that is going to say, well, I'm tipping over and coming into the synagogue? I mean, I have ideas and you have ideas. Everybody has ideas. But what would be your message if you had to speak to them face to face?
If your phone rings and you see Cantor Ben Lolo or Rabbi Pinto or the Spanish and Portuguese or someone from the sisterhood or women's learning group, don't ask us. No, just answer the phone. No, I mean, joking aside, honestly, look, the way I see our synagogue is basically, I see it as a parallel to or as an extension of our religion. Absolutely. Personally, I have a strong belief in my Jewish faith, in our traditions. I grew up pretty much at the Spanish, since I was a kid. So it's in my system. It's in my DNA. Yeah. And as much as I want Judaism to thrive, I want our synagogue to thrive. And so, I think really the engagement is a group effort. Yeah. First of all, the engagement can't be just, yes, you can send emails. Yes, you can, have your email blasts that go out twice a week from the synagogue. But, and I know you and the rabbi have been calling people and engaging with people. And I think that's what it comes down to. And finding some connection. Would you like to do learning, or would you like to sing? Yeah. Or are you interested in this subject? And and there's many different ways. There could be from a business standpoint or from academia or whatever, but there's a lot of learning we can provide, a lot of good speakers we can bring in, a lot of good discussions. So we've been doing that over the last 4 months or so, throughout this COVID. And that's the big effort, the engagement, reaching out to people who don't normally get involved, but are a member, have some connection, and try to sort of, find a way to create a spark of, and show that there is value, and then it should be more natural. Oh, I really, yeah. This is what I think.
So very interestingly enough, one word came up to mind. If I want to be part of something, there's almost a small word called ownership. It's almost that you have to have some kind of ownership so that you can feel that you're connected, and not only connected, but involved. When you have some kind of ownership, so that means that getting young people to say to them, here's a program. I don't have to run it. I can be there. I can help you. I can do whatever you legwork, but it's your program. Bring your friends. You're your circle, and then we'll get more people in. And I think when people feel that they have ownership of something, then they really get involved. But if you just tell them, here it is, just hop in, instead of becoming like jump on the train, why don't you direct the train? Why don't you come up and with me and with us, you are going to hold the reins. And the minute you do that, I felt that people have more, initiative to say, you know what, I'm going to join in because I think I like that. And also the connection they have with us. And I think this kind of interview with you opens up a lot of doors, because then people, young people or young families and, our seniors and everything look at you and say, well, now I know that David, is part of the executive, part on the board. He wants the best for the synagogue. He wants to grow the synagogue. For him, it's a connection. It's a center of his family life, and he wants his cat. So I think it's important for people to know each other like this, to make it like a family more than just a place to congregate.
Just to
Yeah,
talk to
please.
touch on that. So I think there's a lot of great volunteers that are giving time and energy, and they have a lot of love for the synagogue. And so ownership is important. Listen, I think, people typically, are in their comfort zone, and so it's good. It's our job to some extent to move them out of their comfort zone and learn new things, learn about what the synagogue can provide. Could be not have to be just a synagogue. Could be a person at the synagogue. Could be build a relationship between two people. I think, it's just a sort of a never-ending, work and evolution to getting there. But it's about engagement. It's about getting people involved. I mean, I was for many years not involved at all with the synagogue.
And now you're
Someone asked me to be on the board, and one thing led to another, and and now I'm very involved.
Baruch Hashem.
So I'm involved in other organizations as well, and I really feel like, yes, it's a lot of time and a lot of energy, but you're giving back. In my industry, I'm giving back to my industry. I'm on the executive of our industry association.
Correct.
I'm giving back to the industry.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful
giving
way
back
of
to my
saying
community.
Yeah.
I'm helping, grow and preserve and grow and make dynamic our synagogue so that it can serve everybody today and God willing, everybody in the future for many more generations.
Wow. I would love to end this interview with this because it's so inspiring, but I have two more questions. So I'm gonna have to do it. Sorry, man. But I'm going to keep that one as the at the end of this video, because I think it's so beautiful. There's a lot of people in their minds are wondering what's going to happen for the high holy days. This is going to be a very challenging time for not only our synagogue, but synagogues around the world. A lot of synagogues count on the high holy days to reconnect with people that don't usually come during the Shabbatot, let's say, for example, or during the year, to reconnect financially, because a lot of people come up and this is the time they want to give, and this is the time they feel that they this is my ownership. I want to come, I want to give to my synagogue during the high holy days. With all this pandemic going on and this uncertainties and the second kind of wave, but who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully we'll be okay and we're going to continue on. Is there a message to give people right now that are going to watch this and say to them, we want you there, we want you to come? Is there like a possibility of doing two services, one from 8 to 10, and have 250 people there? Everybody's socially distanced, and safe and secure, and then have one from 10:15 to 12. I mean, this is how I would see it, because I would say, like, get like shorter services, but making sure that people come to the synagogue.
Look, I think we have a very significant attendance
Yes.
during the high holidays. It's the time of the year where you can reconnect with your religion, with your community at the synagogue.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting more used to now opening up. We were sort of stuck in our homes, not wanting to step out for a while. Now, that the government has opened things up, we're getting more comfortable. I mean, for a long time, I didn't go into a store to buy anything. I was buying everything online. Now,
Yeah.
I put my mask on. I'll go in the store. After I'm done, I wash my hands. So, I think I think you can be careful. And I think the synagogue, I know the synagogue because I know we're about to open for our first Shabbat, this coming Shabbat on the 11th, I think it is.
Yeah.
And so we're taking a lot of precaution.
Correct.
Listen, at my business, we have production people, we have warehousing people. Not one person, thank God, has had COVID. So you can do things in a way that are safe. I mean, certainly there's people that are a bit older, are at more risk, and so they have to ask the question of whether they're willing to take that risk or not. But the reality is that we're going to make for a very safe environment.
Great.
And I think we'll probably likely all be together in one hall, which is in the Mishal Sanctuary, as opposed to, like, I'm also the president of the Iraqi community. We haven't really discussed it, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Are we going to have an Iraqi service? Are we going to have a service that represents the Lebanese and the Iraqis and the I don't know, and maybe Havashas. So maybe we'll see what's going to happen. But I think whether it's all together, whether it's separated, I think it can be very meaningful, and I think it can be safe. And I mean, and if it makes sense to have multiple services, then then we can do that. But I think you don't want to miss out on this special time of the year to hear the shofar. Absolutely. It's not going to be as a sort of socializing event as it normally is, because you're going to have to keep your distance. But when the services are over, for the people in your family, you're going to get together. You're going to go have. Well, not on Yom Kippur, you're not going to go have lunch or anything, but on Rosh Hashanah you will. And it'll be, if anything, the Yom Kippur this year will be, it'll probably be a more natural, staying quiet and staying.
It's going to be very powerful. I can tell you that.
It's going to be a lot more powerful than it normally is. Which
I agree.
So we'll see what happens.
I think so. I think this high holidays, I think people are going to be more. It's going to be more intense. Also introspect. You have to this whole concept of really rethinking of the importance of what's most important in life, health and your surroundings, your community, etc. So listen, maybe we'll talk about that.
Can I add just one thing on this subject?
Sure.
Which is, I think it's really important that everyone understands that the synagogue needs you. The synagogue needs your support, and we all have to look out for each other. So if we're all looking out for the synagogue's looking out for all of us. And shortly you'll be getting a letter to renew your dues and to buy your high holiday seats. And you might look at it and say, well, I'm at an age where I don't think I want to participate, or I'm not sure, I'm afraid to this sort of thing. But I would kindly ask all of you to be as generous as you possibly can be. Yes. Ideally, we'd like you to buy the high holiday seats, even if you're not going to be coming, because the synagogue needs that income to support its overall operations. It needs its dues to support its overall operations. You have to understand, we have no events, we have no hall rentals.
Wow.
There's no aliyot to speak of during all this period. So, our revenue base is dependent on the generosity and the support of our congregation. So I would really ask you kindly, to continue to support with your dues, with your high holiday seats, and inshallah, God willing, we'll get past this COVID period, and in 21 or latest in 22, we'll be back on track and enjoying things the way we used to enjoy things.
You know what? You took everything, all the words and all the things that I wanted to say, because you said it so beautifully and so succinctly. And and I think that was the message. That's the message. Like, you know what? We don't give up on you. You don't give up on us. You do it. We're going to help each other out, and we're going to make this happen. And I think what a beautiful way, to wind down this interview with an inspirational a thought like that. And I even thought about, when you were talking about the Iraqis, I can very easily, we can sing our stuff from the Spanish, and then we can sing a couple of Iraqi songs, and that will bring back the memories of, like, not making sure that if we're all in the same sanctuary, that we can even make sure that everyone is well served in their traditions and in their customs and their liturgy. David, I have so much more that I can talk about. So I think we're going to have, I'm going to have to come back with you guys, and we're going to do a second recording. This is what happens when
my agent.
Yeah. I'll have to speak to your agent. I'm sure we can work out a deal. David, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for all you do for the synagogue. Bless you and your family for a long, long life with much health and much happiness and prosperity.
Thank you, Cantor. I want to thank you. I want to thank your wife, Muriel. I want to thank Rabbi Pinto and his wife, Gali, and all your children. And I want to thank Francoise and Viola and Linda and the whole office staff, and Angelica and Santos and everyone who's keeping the synagogue going. I want to thank on the executive, Mr. Elbaz, our president, and Ron Michal and Charles Shemi, and there's a whole group of people that are very, very involved, working super hard to allow the synagogue to thrive and prosper. And I'm a businessman, so I'm a competitive guy, and the same way I want my business to be successful, I want the synagogue to be super successful. And I want to be, we have a rich history. We're 252 years, the first synagogue in Canada. Amazing. We have a great, diverse congregation, and we have an amazing clergy that's in place today. And we're gonna make great things happen. People that want to get involved are already involved, and others will see the light shortly. And I'm sure in a couple of years from now, when we look back, we're going to say, wow, we really did something great, and we really built something that's going to continue to serve our community for many, many years and generations. Wow,
beautiful. You better be careful. You're going to get a lot of calls, and your phone is going to ring off the hook there. Thank you so much, David.
Okay.
God bless you, and I'll see you at the synagogue, my man.
Okay, awesome.
God bless you.
Have a great day.